What's up, YouTube? This is Justin from Party Rental Knowledge. If you don't know, I help start party rental companies. I help people just spread out the knowledge in the business, in the industry. Today, I got a good friend here, Michael Waters, aka Bob Sparkles. I met him in one of the chat rooms in the groups, and literally, he was just like, I was like, oh, he wants to give out some information. He's been doing this for 20 years. And I was like, oh, hey, you want to do a video and talk about it? 20 years experience. I mean, I've been doing all these interviews. It'd be nice to talk about. But then he comes on, he's Michael Waters. I thought his name was Bob Sparkles.
Yes, it's true. So I apologize for the changing of names. In marketing, everything matters, including your name. In fact, if you remember back in the 80s, they had those commercials for Q-Lube, and they says, what's in a name? And the guy, his name was Freddy Krueger, and he was a babysitter, and he couldn't figure out why his phone wasn't ringing. Your name is everything. So I've actually changed my name 3 or 4 times over the past couple of years in advertisement. I'll leave the advertisement identical, and I'll change my name, and then I see what kind of response I get. And I know certain names get better responses with certain communities. So it's a marketing ploy, absolutely. And Bob Sparkles, I'm in the event and party business. So who wouldn't want a guy with the last name Sparkles at their event? I mean, you want me there. So
I'm not even joking. You're lying. That I was like, this dude's got a perfect name for this. I'm not just hyping you up because
right.
I was just like, that's really interesting, and that was your thinking. It was very, very, very smart, in my opinion. I've talked to you a little bit before this, and I've realized that you know a little bit about marketing. So let's just talk about the party rental industry. How about you just give a little bit of an introduction to yourself and why did you get into this business, and talk about your company a little bit.
Well, I got into this business because I am a party animal by nature. I have a large swimming pool in my backyard. My favorite thing to do, and this has nothing to do with inflatables, my favorite thing to do is get 50 people in my backyard and party and just have a great time. So I own other businesses and I have other business interests, but by and large, I'm a party animal. And so if I get to be in the business of taking the party from my house to your house to someone else's house, that's the business I want to be in. So I love the business. I absolutely just love the business. In fact, a real short story about what this business means to me was I had a day when 2 employees had called in sick. And so I went out with one of these guys and I went and did all of our deliveries. And the day was almost over and I had one bouncy house on the truck. And this guy calls me up and he says, you wouldn't by chance have any bouncy houses today? And I'm so tired and I just don't want to do it. And the guy's like, look, we called this other company and they flaked on us last minute. I've got a bunch of 6-year-olds that are just going to be so disappointed. And I said, text me your address. I'll be there in 15 minutes. So I roll up to the house and there's 10 kids sitting on the street corner. As soon as they see, well, you can't miss my vehicles because they're definitely, they're lime green. They have bouncy houses all over them. The ice cream man has got nothing on me. The kids start jumping up and down and they're clapping their hands. And I don't feel any pain or tiredness anymore. I get out of the car and I'm rolling them in the backyard. That's why I'm in the business. I just love bringing joy.
Well, what started you? What was the first time you I bought a bounce house and I'm going to rent it?
Well, actually, a guy that I knew, he knew that I liked to party, and he goes, hey, the next party you have, he goes, I'll bring you over one of my bouncers. And I'm like, you have a bouncy house? And he goes, dude, I got like 30 of them. I'm like, really? That's a thing? And he goes, yeah, I rent them out. And I'm like, well, first of all, bring one to my house. Second of all, bring 2 and tell me more. And then once I realized what he was doing, I'm like, okay, I'm in. So, I just load me up. I'll take everyone I can get my hands on. When I realized that people would actually pay to do what I did for fun, I'm like, there's got to be something wrong with this. There's no way people pay to do what I do for free. So now I get paid to do what I used to do for free. So that's how I got in the business. And, he got out of the business a couple years later, and he didn't, he was not really wanting, he'd already made so many mistakes that he was sick of it. And so I actually owned a lot of his inventory for years. And, that's how I got started. But I started it from a business standpoint where I didn't want to be the delivery guy every day. I just wanted to focus on marketing. And so that's what I do. And so I don't do deliveries anymore. July 4th, everybody does deliveries. But yeah, by and large, I don't do deliveries.
Yep, I feel you there, man. I try and get as many people as I can on July 4th. But I don't have as many stuff. I'm like, I just started this year. If you guys don't know, I've talked about it a few times. Like, this is my first year as an owner, but I've had multiple years in the industry, just doing different stuff and different events around the country, working for tent companies and major event companies. But this guy has a major event company. So, like, this is one of the things I aspire to be. And he's also is branding himself pretty well. So that's another thing that I like. I like brand. I like marketing.
Right.
I like bounce houses and I like entertainment. And Mike likes bounce houses, entertainment, brand, marketing. So it's a good fit for the channel because it's this helps bring more perspective. Because, like I said, I don't know how to treat people or work with people as a boss. I'm still learning, you know what I mean? I'm still playing, hiring my friends and stuff. And I got good friends, you know what I mean? But still, I'm still in that phase of business and still hiring and learning. And I haven't had a lot of my firsts in business yet. But Mike's got 20 years of experience and he's in this industry too. So not only just business, you probably got more years of business experience than 20 years though. Because I remember you said before this you had a couple companies as well.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I still own a trucking company. I do shipping and logistics. I've got trucks in there. Some I own, some are owner operators. So I've got the trucking business, and so I've been a business owner, and it's interesting because you go into business, boss, and then you realize my boss is kind of a jerk and a taskmaster. I don't know if I like him, and I can't fire him. So you get in that mode where you go into business, and then you suddenly realize it's not as easy as you thought, but it's also far more rewarding.
Yes.
I have a 13-year-old son at home. I have other kids too. My 13-year-old son in particular, he is hell-bent on not learning from other people's mistakes. And I've said that is probably the silliest approach to life. It doesn't make you a weak man to not learn from other people's mistakes. It makes you a smart man.
That's the opposite of my philosophy.
Yeah. And I said to him, I says, how far would mankind have progressed if each generation we decided to learn everything ourselves? I mean, it's okay to say, I don't know it all. I still don't know it all. It's okay to do that and then find someone who does and learn from it. My approach is right off the bat. If I don't know, I find someone who does and ask them. So that's actually the reason behind my project, Justin. That's it. Is I want to put a website together. I've already got the software. I'm going to put it together. It'll be ready to launch in 2021, where I'm going to share my knowledge. I just want to share knowledge and tell people how to run this business, because there's two types of people in this business. There's the type of guys who are business people and they say you can make some good money in this business. And then there are some people who say I see other people making money in this business, but I don't know how to run a business. And I run circles around those guys, and they don't know. They think that I'm some kind of a wizard, but it's basic principles. It's basic things that you just have to hold to. And it doesn't mean you're a mean guy, because I'm one of the nicest people ever. All my customers will tell you that they think I'm the nicest guy in the world. They just love me. And it's not because I'm a bad businessman. It's just because I'm a fun-loving businessman. Walt Disney was very similar. Everyone loved Walt Disney, but he was a ruthless businessman. So you can be a good businessman and still be a lot of fun to work with. Yeah. My employees love working with me. I'm in my down season right now. Snow on the ground, so not a lot of bouncers going out. Every single employee that worked for me last year has texted me and reminded me that come the spring thaw, they're there. So awesome. I don't really have turnover. They love working for me. So
yeah, that's interesting. So what helped you build that? Like, what would you say are some of the things that attribute to your success in that?
So the first thing is to realize, and this I give advice. Every business I've ever owned, it's the exact same advice. No matter what it is you're doing, you are a marketing and sales company, regardless of what you do. You're marketing and sales. Period. I am not in the bouncy house business. I am in the marketing and sales business. If you do not want to be in the marketing and sales business, then you will fail. Because if you're just a bouncy house dude who has a bouncy house, you're not going to succeed. You have to be a marketer and a sales guy. If you don't know how to sell, buy a book. I'm going to be putting a lot of stuff up on my website to tell you how to sell. If buy a book, take a course, whatever it takes, no matter what business you're in sales and marketing. And this is and I'll be done with this after one point. Yeah. Everything in the world that you have in your house, you bought because somebody sold it to you. So just realize that all businesses are sales and marketing, and that's where I spend all my efforts.
I'll butt in. There's probably things that you made in your house too, though, but you were taught how to make it.
And I paid for that information on how to make it.
Yep.
Yep, exactly. No, you're right on.
Through your time or your money, you pay either way. You know what I mean? Through your time or your money, you're paying. You got to put effort in. You can't just wish things into the world and let it happen. You got to put SEO, and you got to do your search terms. You got to know what you're doing. You got to do your due diligence. You got to pay your taxes. You got to understand tax law. You got to know basic business practices. You got
to know. I mean, just in how you file your taxes. For example, like I can tell somebody, and I'm going to put this on my website how to do it. You can have an LLC, and then you can file a form with the IRS that even though you have an LLC, you can file your taxes as an S corporation. And if you don't know what that means, you probably gave the government. If you don't know what that means, and there's no harm in learning that strategy. So how do you depreciate? What do you depreciate? How you do all of these things are games that you have to, as a business owner, play. And you see, I just want to deliver bouncy houses. Well, no, you got to be a veteran tax guy. You got to be a real good tax guy if you're going to be in this business. I just want to deliver bouncy houses. I don't want to be an operational guy. No, you need to be an operational guy. So I want to help people out in that because, last July 4th we delivered almost 100 units in 2 days, and I delivered 4 of them. So I mean, we have the logistics down.
Exactly. That's the goal, anyways, man. Like if you can't build a business to watch it and maintain it, and if it's maintaining and doing so well that you can sit there and barely watch it and to know it's doing well, then now you got a good business that you built. And I think that's something that everybody should be everybody's goal, not to work. Like, you know what I mean? Okay, if you work in something you love, you never work a day in your life. But if you are owning something that you love and you're actually not working, it's even better. Like, I don't know, you know what I mean? But
right.
you are working. You're doing a lot of behind the scenes. Like you are the puppet here. You are the string puller. Like,
absolutely. Like I'll give away a free tip right here on the show that I do. So I'm in the Salt Lake City area, and to give you some geographical reference to Utah, you have Salt Lake City, and then you have a strip. And in that strip of 75 miles long, 80% of the entire state lives there. So they call it the Wasatch Front. It's a long area, and it takes you about 200. What I do is, when I get an order in one area of that valley, I go onto Facebook and I target that area immediately. And I say, okay, I'm going to be in that area on this day. I will give $50 off to every single person that rents. And I reserve the right to end this ad any minute. And so now, instead of having this delivery and the customers say, I don't want to pay a delivery charge, because who does, right? And I say, okay, I won't charge you a delivery charge if I can mention your name in my Facebook ad, and if I grab 5 other customers and go out there, I won't charge you a delivery charge. I've only had to charge a customer delivery charge once in that case, because I'll say, I'm going to be in this area on Tuesday. If you want a bouncer, $50 off, and I'll get like 10 orders. And then I'm like, okay, crew 1, you're going to that city today.
Wow. That's awesome. Because you just got into it because I've been trying to think of how to good ways to reach audiences in specific areas because that's great ways to do video marketing.
Yeah, well, Facebook is an unbelievable source of very specific data. So,
Yeah.
and the moms, and by the way, I generated about $60,000 just off my Facebook ads last year, and I spent $200. So you don't have to spend a lot of money to do it if you know how to play the game and if you know how Facebook operates. I mean, I'm going to have an understanding Facebook and understanding how to play the game.
I did a basic video. Maybe there'll be a card here if I put it up eventually. But basically on Facebook marketing and why you shouldn't just hit boost on your phone because you're just wasting money. You should go. Yeah, I did a whole video on it basically. So why you want to go in there and you just basically want to go watch the video. I'm not even going to tell you.
Right, so, exactly. So the misnomer that advertising has to be expensive. I mean, I told you how much I generated off a few $100s. I mean, I get one rental, and I paid that back one, and I'll generate on a low end 4. Usually, when I go to a city, I can generate about 6 to 10 other rentals that same day. And so then they just go in there and they nail out all of them, and then they come home. And then the next day, I've already run that ad for a couple of days. So I'm running ads 2 and 3 days in advance of the different cities I'm visiting. So every time my guys go out there, they're taking a truckload. Every delivery vehicle is loaded to the hilt with units. And then as soon as I know how many units. That trailer I have on one holds 10 units. As soon as I sell my 10th one, I pull the ad off and I'm not doing it anymore. Yeah. And it's just little things like that can just make a business immensely profitable.
Exactly. And then when you have 20 of those little things set up, it's just like dominoes. And then suddenly you got a $500 ticket and you got 3 bounce house companies instead of 1.
Right. There's other strategies I use, like making competition for myself that doesn't exist. So I actually I'm confessing to a rather sneaky trick. I have a couple of websites out there that advertise bouncy houses, and they're always rented, and the prices are lower than mine. So, I guess you could go to the competition. Oh, he's rented out. Yeah, okay, contact me. Tactics like that work really well. There's lots of stuff.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. Yeah, this is the real knowledge. This is the real stuff, man. This is the type of things that people don't want to talk about because they're looking over the shoulder because their group's monetized, or they're afraid of who's in the room, or different things like that. Like we're not afraid of anybody. We want to teach everybody as much as we want. Like we just want everybody to grow. We got you have to hear the good and the bad and the weird to get a full perspective. If you want, and you have to have a good perspective if we really want you to succeed going forward. So
right. Like I have a Groupon strategy, and I would, by the way, anybody listening to this, I would say, do not do Groupon under any circumstances until you talk to me. Okay. Because Groupon will either be the worst decision of your life or it can be very profitable, but you have to know how to do it. And here's a hint: Groupon will not tell you the right answer. Groupon does not know how to use their own platform. And if you follow Groupon's advice, you will actually wind up going out of business. That's just the hard facts. I've known 2 people that follow Groupon's advice and they're out of business. So, but yet I use Groupon and strategically win with it. So
I hear a lot. There's a lot of things, and that goes to a basic thing. Facebook doesn't work. Well, me and him are both telling you it works. Mm-hmm. LinkedIn doesn't work for being B2B. It does work. You know what I mean? People say that SEO doesn't work. Like, what are you talking about? Like, the world's flat.
Right.
So, I don't, you know what I mean? And then here's another thing too. You want to vet the information that you get from people. Like Rob was just talking in a video with me too, Weinstein. And I'm sure you'll agree with it. There's people that go in these groups and they own like 3 bounce houses and they're trying to act like they're giving multi-million-dollar advice. And it's like I try to give multi-million-dollar advice on my channel. I give a lot of operations advice, motivational advice, and things that I know are specifically correct because I've been told multiple times by multiple people in the industry. So it's obviously correct, and I've seen it with my own eyes. So I'm not going to say something stupid in that regard. Some things I might say that people think that I'm doing the wrong thing, but it might be different just for your area. A lot of the areas are different. So I might say something that's totally wrong for your area. That's why I'm trying to, with this channel, and you know what I mean, you live in Utah, so you know what I mean, different demographics in different areas have different, slight 90% of the meat and potatoes is the same.
Oh, for sure. Like I have a very unique, it's no secret that there's a lot of Mormons in Utah.
Yeah.
So you have a very specific way you market parties in Utah that you don't need to worry about in other states. I mean, you know, in Utah, one cuss word will make you, customer will never use you again, ever, under any circumstances. You know, and there's just certain things where in Utah market that I know absolutely no one has. And I don't want to tell people how to run their business. Yeah. I want to give them something that they can try and they can say, that works for me.
Yes.
And if it doesn't work for you, well, it might not, because I can guarantee you the guy that does bouncy houses in Phoenix, Arizona has issues that I don't have.
And you got to be doing the data right. You can't just say you're trying something and you're not actually split testing it. Like you tried it, but did you really split test it? Did you really try it? Did you really get the data? Do you really know? Or did you just wing it for a week, said you tried it, and now you never did it again? And then the next person over is doing the same thing, and now he's making 40 grand more than you because he did the same thing and went with it and try a different picture.
I'll give you an exact example of that. Okay. So my name is Michael Waters. And of course, you know me as Bob Sparkles. That's how we met. I've also been seen on Facebook as Miguel Aguas. Okay. Now that's a Hispanic name. And there is an area of the Salt Lake Valley that is a strong Hispanic community. I ran ads specifically in that area. I didn't change a bit of the words. I kept the exact photos, the exact everything. And when Michael Waters ran the ads, I would get a certain response rate. And when Miguel Aguas ran the ads, that was a 300 to 400% bigger response rate. Okay, so that's what I'm saying by, like what you're saying, scientifically look at that. Find out what it is. And don't just say you tried it. Because I can tell people, you know what? The Hispanic population wants to rent from Miguel Aguas. That's who they want to rent from. They don't want to rent from Michael Waters. So that's okay. That's okay. They want to do business with a name that looks familiar. I'll be that name. So, you know, you got to experiment. And I hear this all the time. Well, Facebook ads don't work. And I'm like, well, what did you do? Because just because you did it and it didn't work doesn't mean that I even know the answer, but I will coach you on ways to find the answer.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like even there's so many basic things to the business world that people like I was telling you, I didn't know, I might have said this in the video already, but there's two people that come in this industry. You either were taught bounce houses or tents from somebody beforehand and was like, okay, well, I'm just going to go do this for myself now because I know how to do it and I can make money. And I got to learn how to do business and I'll be a businessman doing bounce houses. Or there's a businessman that's like, dude, they got what? They're making what? What's going on?
What happened to me? I'm like, you're getting paid to party? I want in on that action.
So it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, what's going on here? So, and then they don't know the operations. So it takes you, how long did it take you to get the operations down?
Well, it only took me about 3 years to really dial it in. But I'm going to qualify that. I've owned a drug rehab. I've owned a gas station, actually 2 service stations. I've owned a janitorial business, and I've been a web developer and software developer over the years. So I understand operationally how you have to get to goals. So my 3 years would take someone else 7 to 10. Plus, I was so ridiculously successful out the gate. I had employees delivering it all the first year because I had so much. Again, I was sales and marketing. I was not in the bouncy house business. So, yeah.
You seem like a trial by fire type of guy, too. Like, well, listen, I sold it all. I got to rent it all.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not going to – listen, and that's back to my slogan, man, just show up. It's
Oh
the
yeah.
biggest, one of the biggest things in this industry is just show up. That's one of the first time I bought bounce houses, the guy was like, literally, one of the hardest things to do is just show up. And I'm like, what do you mean? And I'm like, yeah, man, like you'll get the phone calls. People are going to call you and say that somebody didn't show up and you're gonna have to go save their party. Don't be that guy. Like
Right.
so
Because the immutable truth about word of mouth, especially in the internet world, is, you know, that old saying they say, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. It's a similar statement. When you screw a customer in your city, everybody is going to hear about it, because they tell. It used to be that if I had a bad experience at the store, I'd tell 5 people, maybe 7 people, you know, about my bad experience. On the internet, I can tell 10 million people that quick. So show up, be there. You're absolutely right.
it's really, really important to just take this seriously. It's not, and that's another thing. Do we put this information out there not for you to find better ways to screw the customer or screw the industry and get around these corners and cut corners? We tell you things like people don't get insurance sometimes because we want you to go get insurance, because we want you to be, we want the industry to look better. The industry needs to look better. If the industry starts looking bad, there might not be an industry left, or your profits are going to get hit because your insurance is going to go up, and that's coming off your bottom line in the end. And it's, you know what I mean, if you're not good at business, you're not going to survive. Like this, there, you know what I mean, the barrier point is being raised in some states. The rules and regulations are raised in some states. Some states are, you have to have your inflatables licensed before you can even use them that year, or inspected before you can have them, not licensed, inspected before you can use them that year. There's a bunch of states like that. Is Utah one of them?
No.
New York's not either. I'm lucky, and I don't want it to be. So if you're in
Right.
New York,
Well, and why does it, and why they do that is because of the bad actors, and we want to get rid of the bad actors. Look, I'll give you a real good example. 15 years ago, a cup of coffee used to cost 50 cents. You'd go down to the Circle K or the 7-Eleven, you'd buy a cup of coffee for 50 cents. Now, coffee is $7 to $10 at Starbucks. People are paying it, and the experience is elevated. And now the cost of opening up a coffee shop used to be here, and now it's here. That's what's going to happen to this industry. It's going to be harder to enter. It's going to be more difficult to manage, and the standards are getting higher. I don't like to brag, but I have put a lot of people out of business because I just raised my standard. I'm the guy that you can call anytime, and the bouncy house will be there. I'm the guy that will rescue your party. I'm the guy that will bring the happiest crew, and I'm the guy that will send a crew of 3 people out to your house, and 12 minutes later, that thing is in the ground, staked, and up and running, and everything's great, and the kids are happy. You know, I'm the guy that does that, and I do that continually, and my competition feels the heat because they screwed up and just don't get called again. Yeah. So the bar is slowly being raised, and we want the people that listen to us to raise the bar with us, because that's what it's really about. When the customer has a better experience, the whole industry is looked upon as a good experience.
Yeah, truer words haven't been said, man. It's selfish because I want my own company to do better with these things to fall in place, but it's not selfish because I really do care about you guys, and I really do care about you guys and girls. Be YouTube correct. I care about everybody, man. I care about this industry a lot. I actually love this industry. This carnival is just this year, pretty much. You know what I mean? I've been afraid that they're going to go away. You know what I mean? Just because of the virus and stuff like that. You know, you've been in this business for a long time. How many friends in the industry have you, like, just, you know what I mean, this year, just like, you know, I'm done?
There's 10 people that I had that were competition this year that are gone, and I bought out more than half of them myself.
I'm talking about friends in the industry, people that you know in the industry. Anybody just up and quits after a long time because this was just
They were. I was shocked. They were telling me I can't get business, and I'm like, really? Because I'm like off the crazy business. I got so much business I can't. I mean, I've got 30 more bouncers on their way to my warehouse because I have so much business. So, you know, I don't get why people are out of business, but I do. They're not doing sales and marketing. You know, here's an example. So here's my business card. You can't see it, but my name is CFO. That's a very boring title. Chief Financial Officer, right? No, mine is Chief Fun Officer. See, stuff like that is just.
I love it, man.
Right. So here's
That's
my business
awesome.
card. I give the people, I say, I'm the CFO. And just so you know, that's Chief Fun Officer. I'm here to make sure there's fun being had. And, back of my business card is a coupon for 10% off when they pass it to their friends. These do not get thrown away.
Yep.
They're square, so they're not a regular shaped business card. They have a coupon on the back, and it says I'm the Chief Fun Officer. I mean, this is so comedic. People don't want to throw it away. This is, again, a marketing ploy. I want to give people all of it.
I'm going to have mine made, actually. They're going to be looking like money. So now you think money and you think value when you look at it because it looks like money, but then it's all logo and branding, and it has value, so they keep it.
Right. No, and that's another tactic I used to use. I do real estate investing on the side, and I used to have business cards that looked like a folded up $50 bill that had fallen on the ground. And those always got picked up.
I love that.
People look inside there and they're like, hey, this guy buys houses. Okay, I'm going to call him. And they don't throw it away because psychologically they're throwing money in the garbage. So, I've been a marketer my whole life. And so I found that really, I've marketed janitorial services. I've marketed pretty much anything you can think of. And believe it, you do market drug rehabilitation centers, and I had one. So, marketing really isn't any different no matter what business you're in. This is the funnest business to market, by the way. And in my opinion, the easiest, which is really a shame why people go out of business, because this is super easy to market.
It's fun. How can you don't want fun?
Right.
But all right, everybody, I'm going to keep it a wrap. If you like this one, check out these videos too. Like, subscribe. Mike, I'll definitely have you on here. Bob, we'll have you too.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll come up with a different name just for you YouTube subscribers.
Yeah, maybe so.
Everybody have a great one.